Okay, the meeting of the Lincoln Trustees of Trust Funds will now come to order, starting at 10:02. Thank my colleagues for being here. And we want to say a special thank you to former member Pickham, who did a great job.
Very good job.
He decided not to run for re-election. Job keeps him out of the country and out of the state quite a bit. So we did miss a few meetings and he felt bad and decided that it's better for the committee that he not run. But we thank him for all the work that he did. Excellent questions for the bank and his service to the town. And the good news is the seat's been filled by Matt Murphy, and he's going to give us a little background bio on himself, and we're all going to do that today so we can get back to square one with everybody. Okay, Matt, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Matt Murphy. Background is primarily focused in management consulting and financial services. So recently just left the job at Edward Jones, where I was doing analytics, looking at some of their the data sets that they had available, understanding how to improve processes. Most of the financial services industry is trying to understand how accounts are being managed or how resources are being managed. Prior to that, worked for Deloitte and some of their federal practices, mostly focused on shared services and finance. So a lot of my background is understanding how to drive, whether from a cost accounting perspective or just from an operational perspective, where resources are going and trying to get the most output for those resources. So I'm really excited to be here, excited to work with you both. Happy to be involved.
And welcome. And we appreciate, like I know Paul always said this, we appreciate you running and getting involved. And it's not an easy thing. A lot of people do not want to be on boards. It's sad because a lot of people are very qualified, but they don't want to take the time, effort, and they don't want to get involved in any controversies or anything. We do lose some good people that way. Paul, what about a little bit?
My name is Paul Shervon. I'm been a resident of this town, I think, since 2015. I have 3 children here in the elementary school. Retired. I worked as an engineer for the State Department, the Patent and Trademark Office. I served in the military with the Air Force and later on with the Navy. I've done financial budgets throughout my life, and then a certified acquisition professional by the federal government. I worked for the United States Senate, and so I'm very happy to be here. I'm also a finance officer over at the American Legion, and a few other things that aren't coming to mind right now. So yeah, happy to be here. I just wanted to say again, thank you for Matt for running and being elected here. Thank you for Vikram and Herb for doing such a fantastic job over the last few years. I think our last year we had $237,000 increase, and over their tenure, probably close to well over $500,000 funds into the town, which I think should be recognized. I'm not sure we got it into the budget this year, into the annual report. So certainly we'll get that going forward. And yeah,
and you've done an awesome job taking over the chief financial officer.
Right, which is
quite involved.
I forgot, and we just got approved. Most importantly, we just got approval from the state. They accepted all of our MS9s and MS10s. I talked with
official email from the state.
Amy Nicole from the state Department of Justice, and everything's solid. We have a clean slate going forward into the year. So look forward to increasing our productivity as we go along.
Yeah. Good. Okay, my background's quite different from my colleagues, and I've always said on boards it's good to have diversification. I've been on the trustee of the trust fund since 2015. 2018, took over as chair, and we did some major changes, like having meetings quarterly and bringing in banks to get our wealth management program off the ground and get it rolling. Talk about that a little bit more later. I'm originally from Rhode Island, former history teacher and a school administrator, vice principal of another school. Interesting, New York, I went to acting school. Did auditions for soap operas. I won't be in soap operas, but I did a few. Did some off-Broadway, some summer stock plays, and came back and wound up being head of the drama department at high school I taught at. So the acting lessons certainly helped a lot of students along the way who were interested in acting. In fact, we started with one class, wound up with 3. That's how popular the class was. As far as Lincoln goes, I've been up in New Hampshire since 2010. I first moved to Woodstock, and then I moved over here in 2012. I'm also the vice chairman of the budget committee since 2014. And that's an exciting group. It's 13 people. It's a lot of different challenges on it, and again, a good diversified background, which we need in all movements. And I think my 2 colleagues' backgrounds, which are quite varied and good. I was in the family business for 30 years. Rhode Island was the antique business. So I do have a business background as well. And currently the vice president of the Nordic Inn. I've been past president and quite active there. And I think we've got a great town here. And we've got obviously an awesome trustee board and people that are working toward the goal of making the money. And as Paul just said, that's a lot of money that we, when I first started on this board, we were getting $229 a year on $2 million. And I remember looking at it, I thought it was a mistake, an accounting mistake or a comma mistake, obviously, and it wasn't. And we set that to the fact to bring in 5 different banks to talk to them, to see what the issues were, what can we do to improve this money. And one issue that we had to deal with was, what if an act of God happened? What if we, God forbid, we lost a fire truck, a police car, right? Some tragedy. Could we get to the money? Some banks said, well, our policy is we have to look into it. Okay. Another bank said, we do it case by case. Another bank said we do it by the emergency itself. So we were building a portfolio of what to do with these different groups, because we didn't want what the town was concerned about, to suppose that we locked in money and something God forbid happened, and we're in a bank that says, well, we don't act on God accidents. So we had someone did that, we just had to drop that.
Interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because we've had to be sure. I mean, suppose we needed to. I mean, suppose like the town manager emailed me, called me up and said, look, we need $200,000 by tomorrow morning. If we're in a wealth management program and we cannot get that kind of money that quick, we need to be seriously consider, why are we in this program? We didn't need the money in a hurry. Yeah. That's what we were concerned about. Another thing we did was we went out.
And right now we have millions of dollars liquid because the rates are so fantastic.
Exactly.
There's no reason to tie anything up.
Right. But we have to make sure we didn't get locked into something that's what I was concerned about. I think we also went out and got a couple of CDs before we hired Bank of New Hampshire, which has done a fantastic job with the wealth management. They're very good to work with. And they'll be here next month, Matt, so you can meet those people. And we went out there, we took a chance with a bank that had 1 branch. And people said, 1 branch? Sure about this? I said, yeah, we're sure about it. We gave them $230,000, and we got a rate of 2.45 on that money, which was unheard of in New England. In fact, when we told Bank of New Hampshire about it, they were shocked that it was that high. We also went to another bank, excuse me, got to light back on. we also went to TD Bank and we got $100,000 CD there, and we did very well with that one too. And interesting, the primary bank now has 5 branches, and we got involved when they had 1, but we made a lot of money with those CDs, something that we're going to be talking about too. And so overall, I think we've done well with this. We've come a long way. And Paul says it looks like smooth sailing, and the state says smooth sailing with their own email. And I think we're going to be just fine. And I thank both of my colleagues for being here and for their excellent backgrounds. Okay, we'll go on now to the election of board officers. And we will call for, at this time, a motion to elect chairman of the trustee of trust fund. Do I hear any motions?
I make motion that Herb Gardner remain chairman.
Do we hear a second? Second. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor of electing Herb, I should say re-electing Herb chairman of the trustee trust fund, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain, pass. Okay, I would like to nominate Paul to be chief financial officer. Do I hear a second? Second. Discussion. Yes. Paul has done an outstanding job. I can't say this enough. He came in into this situation. Lot of work with this. This is why we named this the chief financial. It used to be the treasurer, the bookkeeper, but with the financial situation, the world and what's going on, and Paul, right on top of this, worked out very well with the state and with the bank. Nothing but praise for Paul on this, and I think he deserves a lot of it, because this is a very involved job, and he's done a great job with it, and we certainly thank him for what he's done. Okay, anybody else? Okay, all those in favor of Paul being re-elected chief financial officer, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain, pass. Chief financial officer. Matt, what we'd like you to do, unless you strongly object, is to be Victim was our secretary of the board. Now, this is how big our minutes are. Talking about a half a page or a page. So unless you would object, you can just take a quick look at that, because we'll be voting on that shortly. Our minutes normally are no longer than I think one time we had a page and a half because we had some people in the audience had some questions. All those, I thought I could call for the motion. Make a motion to elect Matt secretary. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Second. Any discussion? Yes, thank you, Matt, for taking the job. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. Pass. Matt is the new secretary, and that's basically the job, Matt. It's just taking the minutes of the meeting. Like today, you be taking the minutes, and that's it. Yeah. I handle the agenda and the other stuff, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, and if you have any interest in any of the financial stuff, I'd be super happy to go over that with you.
Yeah,
just so you know, as a backup, or if you want to jump in next year and do it, you can change jobs or whatever.
Minutes.
Yeah. And know all the different positions.
Is it okay if I use a computer?
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's what Victim is.
Absolutely, yeah. And Jean did go well too.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. But it's funny that she would, the hours that Jean Golden did a lot of work for this board, a lot of hours. And then they changed, so you didn't have to put everything in the little boxes anymore. And that,
yeah, I mean,
that was a good thing.
It was huge. It was huge. I'm happy that we changed. I'm happy what she did. It was very super thorough.
Yep. She was a very good. That's when we started calling that job chief financial officer, because she was really
an incredible amount of work. Honestly,
she did
really incredible.
Good, very good work. Okay, we're going to discuss the next thing, the past minutes of our meeting, and that was in January 18th. And we just let Matt look at them quick. Look at these quick again before we just a quick look, and then I'll turn them into the city.
Yeah, right. Good reminder.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on to approving the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the January 18th meeting of the trustees?
I make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the minutes?
Just when are Donna and Frank coming back in for?
They're coming in April 18th.
And that's when we're gonna talk about investments going forward. Because I mean, we're kind of waiting for the. I mean, of course, Matt, they had the meeting yesterday with the what do you call it, BIOS or whatever.
Right.
And so they everything's going to remain in place. No cuts. I mean, they said like 3 potential cuts, but we really don't know. But I mean, that puts us the board in a very, very, very good leverage position as far as going forward. High rates, obviously. We're in the driver's seat, and that's a good place to be at for sure.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting. January meeting we discussed. The Fed had said 4 cuts this year.
Right.
Now they're saying
it
3.
keeps moving out, and it keeps changing. So we don't have a crystal ball, but steady as she goes.
But as you said, we're driver's seat.
We're definitely in the driver's seat. We have so much cash; it's crazy.
That's right. Yeah, I think we're talking $1 million.
More than $1 million.
Yeah. Well, now it's more. I think when we first started, it was $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
When we first got started.
Yeah. And,
okay, and basically the minutes.
3 million in there right now.
3. Okay. Basically the minutes. I mean, when the bank's here, just an overview of what they said, because they'll talk like a half hour.
And that's cash. I'm sorry, I didn't read that.
Oh,
the entire thing. 6.
No problem.
Yeah, over 6.
And just the motions that are made, like today, the motion for the election, what you said, Paul said, I said, and that's basically it. The minutes, we don't really have. Was a problem of years ago. We don't have problems with minutes anymore. Pretty smooth and pretty direct. I guess that a page, half a page, normally covers it.
Yeah.
Really
Just,
okay, I guess we can.
Well, but Matt did make a point earlier that it's a good idea, because when we handed Matt the January 2024 report from the Bank of New Hampshire, he asked me whether this was public, in the public realm, and I think I don't know the implications of whether it's proprietary to the Bank of New Hampshire, but I thought aspects of this could definitely be made available to the public.
I would think, and certain information probably not, but I could see, which is overall, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is. You've
never been told that it's not.
Right. So maybe at the next meeting we can talk to them, because I think it, transparency is definitely, huge.
Right.
And a lot of people, when they see an annual report, they don't see anything in between, and having something that's quarterly would I think, I mean, when I see this means so much more to me than the annual report with a spreadsheet of random numbers and stuff. Yeah,
that's coming up on the old or new business, really.
Right.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second on the minutes. Take a vote on that. All those in favor of approving the minutes, January meeting, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, passed. Okay, we can move on now to old and new business. Something that we used to do, and I talked about this with you a while ago. When we submitted the yearly report that showed out the town report that they want for the book, we used to put a letter in there. And I already talked to Jane about this. That She wanted to make it larger because people were having trouble even using a magnifying glass to see, and sometimes it is so small.
Yeah, yeah.
And we used to have that with it, but then it got so, it was a matter of space in the book, so we kind of jettisoned the letter. But I think at this point, if we're gonna change to have a larger layout, you know, what format we're gonna use, what Jane said, I think it's a good idea that we bring the letter back, and because people read a letter a lot faster than the graph.
Yeah, and I think people are really worried about the bottom line number.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing in their minds. And like I said, I mean, some of these documents we can put on the town website or town, you know, put it in a PDF and put it on the town, you know, website, and then they can look at it and look at it in detail and go over them. But when you put, because the annual report was just, you know, the bank probably prints this out on a 11 by 17 feet where you can actually read the numbers.
Exactly.
And so it's, and we print out an
Right.
8.5 by 11.
Right.
These things are,
That's what Jane was saying. You can't
honestly,
see it.
numbers.
She's right.
But you know, it's that's how it was formatted, and that's how it's given to us from the bank. And of course, we understand the numbers of what's going on. But for a lay person who's not working with it every day, not that anyone can't do fifth grade math, adding and subtracting, but you know, it's but still, it's, I mean, a lot of people have time, and when you have a multi, I mean, that report's got to be over 100 pages for crying out loud, you know. And if you look at the trust funds, like, did we make money or did we lose money?
But in the,
you know, and how much?
But in the letter, that would explain it.
Right, exactly.
And also, you know, that's something else that we couldn't fit in this time. We always, you know, I would sign it as chair, and Gene would sign it, chief financial officer, I was secretary, and that should be signed, because that's a lot of money.
I think so. Yeah.
You know, I think that's kind of, so I think we're going to bring back the letter. Excuse me again. We're going to bring back the letter. Yeah. In fact, I think when we get done talking about, we're going to make a motion, but have it put in the minutes. We want the letter to come.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I think it's important, and I think we should be signing something like that. That's a lot of money. People need to understand that.
And I agree, because when you look at a big spreadsheet, and especially in that report, there's, you know, 20 or 30 different spreadsheets, and it's like, you know, people don't have time to go through that stuff.
Well, that's it.
I mean, I certainly, I look at it, but you know, my eyes do cross as I go through. You know?
Oh yeah.
So
that's what I mean.
Just at the bottom line, like, hey, we made $237,000 last year. Things are going well. It's well invested. I think people would be put at ease and be able to move on to things that they're concerned with, knowing that they're happy with the trustees and what they're doing.
We can do a paragraph.
Exactly.
On trustee papers, of course.
Right.
I think that makes a lot more sense, because a lot of people have told me that, you know, I think it's tough to read. Yeah, so can you tell me the figure? I said, sure.
And you know, and it's true. You know, you got to listen to people and what they're saying, and I think just from a common sense point of view, it was an extremely hard document, and it was just taking cut and paste from what they give us to put in there without any reformatting and everything.
Exactly.
And you know, in retrospect, I think that was a mistake, and and on my part as well as anyone else's, and so we'll rectify it.
Yeah, I think that's well, just like when people when I brought this up before to the towns, that people, you know, when you're in Waynes, you're in PC, whatever, and they say, can you tell me why all the boards in the town are on YouTube now? We used to be why you're not? I said, I'll find out. I said, some reason trustees are not, because they certainly were on in other towns. I checked.
Right.
And they said, yeah, you can you just got to register. And so I took care of that with Karina, town manager. And
that's fantastic. And that's why I'm glad you're the chairman. You take care of these.
Well, I mean,
these topics that I would never even.
Well, I mean, when people ask me that, and I say, well, I don't know why we're going to find out. And then once we got going, and So I always check on these meetings, and then I check a week later and 25 views, 30 views. Well, somebody out there, I mean, I wasn't imagining people were asking me because there's people watching it, and they should watch it.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of money. They should know what's going on.
Well, especially, I mean, not to get too much in it, but this town has a lot of people on fixed incomes, and and they'd like to know what they're getting for their money, because the taxes have gone up a bit lately.
Yeah.
And
they've definitely gone up.
And you know, and you know,
I mean, that's
I'm not gonna get too much into it, but
no,
you know, they like to see how their money's being used.
Yeah. And I think a letter is going to be a lot faster for people than a graph, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
They read, oh, that's great.
And a graph and a letter reinforced with, you know, the hard numbers.
Oh, yeah.
On the website.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about a page report. No, that's not necessary. I can remember when I had to appear in front of the budget committee, because we had an employee back then that used to do the minutes. So I had to report when all the budgets from all the department heads came in. I had to appear and sit in what they call the hot seat. Now I didn't find it hot, but that's what they call it. And you know, we would go over this stuff, and I would have a chart of, well, okay, now when I started this, we were 229. The next year we went to 8,000, then 16, then 32, then 48, then 52, then 68, then 75, and then sit there and go, wow, what's happening here? I said, well, what's happening is with wealth management and our CDs are doing very well. And that's what, you know, then before we would just, you know, just can't, you know, meet like that. It doesn't work, you know, once a year or twice a year. You have to get on, you know, top of this. And I think this board has done a good job. Not that the bank isn't doing a good job, but it's our fiduciary responsibility to make sure that everything is oiled, that we know what's going on. Absolutely. And our mission statement in the book, that I mean, it lays it out what we're supposed to be doing, and I think we're doing it, and I think the bank's doing a great job. And as you said, we're gonna smooth sailing going forward.
Smooth sailing, and you know, and it brings up another how I don't know if Matt has had the chance or not, but if you have there's a handbook for the trustees of the trust fund, and you should peruse that and see what's going on there, because I certainly made you know, I'm learning the process and learned that there are certain funds that have to be invested in fixed income or what the state considers low risk investments. Perfect.
In the book, he's talking about that. Get done. Gives me when you get a chance, no rush.
Because the first thing I did was when I came in, I was like, why aren't we, you know, because I invest in the S&P 500 or whatever, and I'm like, well, why aren't you doing this? This is because these are not investments I would ever do, and it's just because they can't do some of those investments. We do them in some accounts, but in other accounts it's restricted.
We can have high risk, but we got to be very careful.
And I think
I agree.
I think it's interesting. I mean, you know, and I don't get too philosophical about. I mean, these laws were made a long time ago, and I think they all need to be updated. But until they are, we're constrained into what we're doing. They work for us now, but I would have definitely argued them adamantly 10 or 15 years ago when circumstances were different.
Right.
Anyways, so there are restrictions on how we invest things, and how you invest your personal money probably would not be the way you would invest town municipal funds, but it is what it is, and so we have to stay within those.
It's a good book. I mean, I certainly looked at it when I got on board back in 2015. Covers a lot of material in there. A lot of it is other boards, but there is a section in the trust fund. Excellent. See that you think of something, here it is.
Right.
I'm telling you, we're a working machine here. Absolutely. No, we're doing. Okay, so I think we seem to be all agreeing on the letter. I'd like to have a motion about that. Bring it back, put it in the minutes.
Yeah, I make a motion that we submit a letter to the annual report that would make it a little easier for the general public to digest and have the spreadsheet, not do away with the spreadsheet, but make that also available. But
Right.
make the letter clear and concise as to
What we're making.
what we're making.
And we also signing it.
And signing it, yeah.
And I'll second the motion.
Second, okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of adding the letter along with the spreadsheet in the town book next term, signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain, passed. Very good. Takes care of that one. Under new business, is there anything? I've already informed the bank. Victim's not going to be here anymore.
Okay. Oh, that's good. And I also changed. I have to change Matt in the. Actually, Gene was still written is listed on trustee trust fund, so I put my name in there for the MS9. I'll put Matt in there and take Vikram out.
Right.
So it's on. So the department adjusted.
Well, I emailed old Terry and Frank the day before the election. I said after the election, as of 6 o'clock, please do not send Vikram any more material because he's no longer on board. Right.
And I'll do that with this.
Yeah, as well. I think that you got the email I sent you, right?
I don't think so.
That's what you emailed yesterday afternoon.
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
we can figure out.
Yeah, it went out.
I should
no, it didn't. Okay, I had one that wasn't right, so I emailed Brent and he said this is it, and second later I sent it out yesterday afternoon and it went out. So,
okay,
so
I can look again.
It went out. It was just just a reminder of the meeting.
Okay,
whatever today was. Anything? Trying to think anything new. I mean, the letter was very old end, but I think that that's quite important. We'll continue to have meetings with the bank, obviously, and without the bank. Frank, we were having this meeting. We have to have reorganization. I mean, it's interesting. Some states you have 10 days to do it. I've been on boards. I was on a board in Washington with 21, and we had 10 days to do it in March. You have to do it. I was on a board in New York. We had 15 days by state statute to do it. The state statute here is very. It's not.
It's great.
It's iron. You can do it. I know the budget committee is going to do it the middle of April. To me, I think I like to get reorganization over with and move on, especially with this board because I mean we're dealing with millions of dollars,
right?
And I don't think there should be any, it's a process, and that way nobody can say, well, gee, you need to be organized. Yeah. We should.
Yeah, I'll get on the website today and get Matt's name on there. And it's just a form. It's not. I wouldn't even say that. That's the wrong word to use. It's simple to do. If you want me to give you a tutorial on that, then
that would be great.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I just did that, and just to go into it a little bit, we shouldn't have time. Okay. So what it is we have an accounting with the state every year. And those are called MS9s and MS10s.
Yep.
And Jean used to do this by hand. She used to be a former accountant,
town administrator.
Yeah. So and she was doing it all on herself, which is an amazing amount of job.
Tedious.
Yeah.
But we switched from her to letting the Bank of New Hampshire do it. And so we had to make sure everything, and I had a, phone conference with Bank of New Hampshire. Now, go back a little bit. Bank of New Hampshire does this with 13 other towns. Okay, so this is what they do. They offered this service to us before, but Jean decided to do it on her own because she felt more comfortable doing it because that was her, that was her thing.
Right.
That was her job at one point in time of doing things like this.
Right.
But it was an amazing amount of work.
Great.
Anyway, so we talked with the state and the Bank of New Hampshire. We all sat down and we went through the MS9s and went through the MS10, and we all agreed on the numbers since we transferred the books basically from A to B. And going forward, the Bank of New Hampshire is going to take care of that for us. We still have to certify it and monthly reviews, which they give us monthly reviews of everything. And so yeah, we can certainly monitor it that way. And then they do a rolling cumulative thing. So by the end of the year, you don't have to go back. It's just, you just, okay, December good. Okay, yep, this month is good. Okay, MS9s, MS10s done. And then we're done.
Just like that's the problem we had before. Person who was doing it wanted to do it yearly. Right. And as you just said, what happened? Well, oh, we got a problem in January, we got a problem in July, we got a problem in August. This way, and that's something that you push forward too correctly. So have this done monthly. So you don't, at the end of the year, you got 8 months, you got a problem.
Yeah, so that was great. I mean, I think it streamlines the process, makes it very, very easy on, very easy on us. Yeah. And takes away a huge amount of work. So I don't know where I was going with this exactly, but
I'm sorry, I shouldn't interrupt you.
No, it's fine. I mean, yeah, I'll be happy to go over that with you.
Please, that'd be great. But we just received the reports. There's nothing, we review them on a monthly basis. There's nothing we have to do ahead of time with the bank. It's just them sending it to us.
Right. So if you got a question,
then
yeah.
But at the end of the year, we have to submit the ledger.
Yes,
right, to the state.
To the state. And
yeah,
that's where a huge part of our responsibility is. Although it's just a signature, it's very important.
Things that come with it, yes.
Right? Exactly.
So
very important.
Yeah. So yeah, so I mean, I guess I was looking at new business, and the MS9s is new business. Yep. And we do the letter, right? And then if Matt wants to get up to speed on anything, oh, I remember what I was going to talk about. I don't know, I'm going through it. So on the 18th of April, when we have Donna
and
Frank come in here, they're going to, because up to this point, this $3 million has been sitting in a, basically a, what do you call it? I forgot the term for the brokerage, money market fund. So it's been sitting in money market, making between 4 and 5%, depending on the fluctuations of those overnight rates, everything, which is fantastic. They've been chomping at the bit to take the $4 million and invest it.
Right.
And we're doing, I'm sure you're familiar, maybe, Matt, we've been laddering our bonds. So basically, they all don't come due at the same time. Any difference than our terms on the board, we're staggering it so we don't lose the whole board at the same time. Yeah, so exactly. Bonds don't, so it levels the average of the thing. But the thing is, when you do a bond, the time frame for those bonds are, I think, typically 3 years. I mean, I guess you get variable ones. You jump in anytime. Sure. But the CDs are also variable. So, but I don't see there's anything in my mind's eye when they come in. I don't see anything wrong with laddering in CDs because they shorten the time period. We've done very well with CDs. So if we have things that are we have current money to cover all our expenses. And in a money market, which is 5%, so who cares, right? And then we have CDs, which is a very short time frame, only a year, and we have the laddering with the bonds. I mean, that I think the CDs, which we don't do a lot of right now, but I think that would be a vehicle, and Matt, you probably know, maybe even know of other vehicles I'm not even thinking about. But sure, I guess my point is, they're going to be asking us this question in April, right. and so we should have some sort of working idea of what we want to do with this $3 million. I mean, obviously, I think with the way that the rates are going right now, I don't see the next possible, and I don't even think it's even if they did drop the rate in June, it'd only be by 0.25, so who the heck cares anyways? So I don't think we're in any rush to do anything that doesn't, but if we are going to do an investment, I think we should consider CDs in addition to the bonds, which is what they're going to be pushing for. I mean, at least that's typically what they've done in the past. And since we are restricted on what we can invest in, i.e. money market, CD, or bond, we should, I mean, just off the top of my head, I don't mind putting some money in a bond. I don't mind putting some money in a CD, but I don't think it's necessary to tie up much of it at all, since I mean the rates are steady, even if the 0.25, who cares? I mean, tie up on it. The thing is, I don't want to be in a situation where, certainly I don't think we're going to be in this, but I don't want to be in a situation. There's no need to be tying up money when we have bills to pay. Every now and then we get a bill for $200,000 from that town, and I mean, we got $3 million in cash. It's not a big deal, but we certainly don't want to be selling things to pay off.
Well, no,
pay off a town bill.
I mean, the CDs we had in the past, we had 100,000 CD, we had 230,000 CD. Those certainly aren't gigantic CDs, but we did well with them. That's the one. Now, right. There's another point when we're talking about that. When we had these CDs, before Donna, we had another gentleman that we went to another bank. And they were always trying to, well, they're okay, but we'd rather invest the money ourselves. And the board decided to, one person was leaving, they decided to let the CDs go. I also held a position of bank representative then, because I did the CDs. I brought the banks at the CD presentations. Right. So I had to call primary bank up, and they were shocked that we were not renewing because you guys made a lot of money last night. I said, I know we didn't. I'm sorry, but it's a both. They didn't listen to the chair on that one. Which they're entitled. Everyone vote actually. But that's how we got out of the CD business, because the board kind of said no, we want to go with that, and then of course that money was absorbed with New Hampshire. But I certainly have no problem with looking at CDs and other.
Yeah, it's just something to think about. I mean, keep the door open. It is. I mean,
not unless you have a.
No, I think it's a good idea to leave the door open, especially the interest rates on all three of those options: money market funds, bonds, and CDs. Right. Are very interesting right now. The time frame of bonds and the historical low point, but also, just the availability of funds is going to be important. That's kind of where my mind goes. It depends on how much money is needed to be quickly accessed. Should there be an emergency or just operating budget normal
yeah, definitely a couple $100,000.
Right. And so things that we can plan for.
I mean, for a year, I mean, it's less than $500 million, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot less.
Yeah. From
what I remember.
Right.
And we have 3 million liquid, so we got a lot of wiggle room.
Right.
But Matt, on any of that stuff, I mean, that was your bailiwick, so feel free to jump in there.
As Matt just said, I want to leave all the doors open for. I don't want us locked in that we've got to. This is it. No.
Yeah.
There was too much of that in the past.
Right.
You can't.
And you'll see with Donna and Frank, especially the senior one of the two.
Right.
Very astute.
Yeah.
Very astute.
Yeah.
Very astute.
Okay.
And
Senior vice president.
yeah, I mean, these guys know what the heck they're talking about. Having said that, as you well know, every dollar they have, they're making money off of.
Sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
but I mean, that's just life.
Yeah.
You know, not a big deal, but we got to get the best we can with what we can do.
Interesting too. The trustees did not know back in when I came in 2015. We didn't even know that the money wasn't even in a wealth management program. Bank of New Hampshire found out that it wasn't. It was the money we were getting that 229 wasn't even in a wealth management program.
Yeah,
So that says a lot to me.
and just looking at the history books and how I've dealt with Bank of New Hampshire, I mean, I'm happy with them. I am. You know, I mean, you always have to do your due diligence,
and I think
absolutely
that's what we're doing.
But in general, I think they're a fair part.
Yeah.
Can I ask? Do we know what Bank of New Hampshire is paid on a basis point percentage or?
Yeah. So it should be in here specifically. There's a monthly fee.
Right. Okay. No, yeah, it is a monthly.
It is a monthly fee, and it's not. I'm trying to say it's less than a point for sure.
Sure. Right.
I can't remember
exactly, but I don't know if it's.
It definitely is.
It's not clicking exactly.
I mean, that was my first question.
Right.
You know, when I got here.
It was your first question. I remember it well. And very fair question too. How much are we paying?
Right.
To get this done?
And we can revisit it too.
Oh yeah. No, but
Yep.
But yeah, but we it's a very fair question.
One other thing I just
and let's talk about that a little bit more because I just don't have the number right in front of me. But it is absolutely apparent, and we have that number.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say in general, I have not compared this with other people.
Right.
And my intent of asking is not necessarily to compare with other banks. It's more to understand sometimes there are additional fees and surcharges for other ideas or services that we might want to pursue. Yeah. And so I just want to keep that front of mind before I have ideas of where we could go, but it's helpful to understand what the trade-off is.
No, and I think that's a fantastic, and those were the exact questions that I had when I first came on board. And I did not delve into that as thoroughly as I could have. And but let's tackle it together.
Right. Yeah,
let's get into it more because because I mean, as you well know, it's like, okay, well, they have an annual fee. Well, how much is each transaction fee on each product that we're buying?
Yeah,
exactly.
And I, you know, although
fair point,
they from what I remember, it is in paperwork, right? But I haven't fished it out in a huge amount of detail.
Yeah. And I'm happy to look at that paperwork.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But it's interesting. But I could point you to where it is pretty much exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Interesting. That was your first question. That was Matt's first question. Yeah. My first question was obviously 229 is a mistake, right?
Yeah, right. There's 2,000. But it was 200. There's lots of lots of ways to approach this. Yeah. The biggest one, getting the 237 a year, is huge, and that's one of the reasons why anecdotally I liked it so much money being in the money market, right? Is because I knew there weren't fees associated with the money market where there would be in a purchasing of a bond, purchasing these things, which I instinctively thought, I can't say I know, but I think they thought that there would be an additional fee every time there's a purchase or every time there's a sale.
Right.
So I'm just like, listen, it's in a money market. We're making 5%. Why are we going to go buy a bond for 5% when I'm making free money at 5% and there's no transaction costs?
Yes.
You know, but it hasn't been addressed now. It really hasn't. Right, and let's do it.
Right.
Yeah, let's address that.
Well, at the next meeting too, Matt, they're gonna bring in, I will inform them, now the election's on, what the election be over and everything. The new person, they'll bring in forms for you to sign.
Okay.
Like
Release forms.
name, address, social security, things like that. And also a policy that I changed when I took over the chairmanship was we used to have this one person would write the check and sign it. I thought that was a mistake.
Yes.
We've eliminated that. Paul writes them, I sign them. We used to have 2 signatures, and then the bank said it's not really necessary. So we thought 2 was, like a safeguard, but the bank said it's not necessary. The town was okay with what we did, so we went back to 1 and 1. But I think the person that writes it and signing it too, I could see somebody could say something.
I agree.
Like that was a very. I was not comfortable with that. Once I explained it to the board, I think they got it. That it just doesn't. It looks, you don't want any appearance of anything that looks the least bit.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun too sometimes. I mean, sometimes the city would be like $500,000, not $500,000. I think the biggest one was like a couple $100,000. And I'll just go from here directly to the bank. But sometimes if it's a big one like that, I'll bring back the slip. And say, hey, I know I don't have to do this,
right?
But just to give everyone peace of mind,
exactly.
Here's the deposit slip,
Well, another thing Paul did, which was good established, was having a box here. We used to have a space and a file cabinet, then file cabinet. So Paul established a box. Something comes in, put it in the box.
Oh, that's right. And that helped a lot.
And that was Paul's.
It sounds silly.
It worked well. If people thought, yeah, but anything comes in, put it in Paul's box, and that eliminates, emailing me and saying, well, we don't know what this is. Is Paul available? Right. Especially if Paul's on vacation, he doesn't need to deal with that.
So just occasionally come in and empty out the box. Yeah, they usually checks for the cemetery fund, which is a rolling deposit. Rolling. People die. Sure. Yeah.
And I remember when Gene used to get money like that and change used to drive her crazy. Pennies, close quarters. She was trying to get them there to do a check. Yeah, and so she counted it all out.
Yeah, and sometimes we do get cash from different accounts like we did that. Volunteer in the fireman's account or something. Yeah. So
I remember when they came in, when the new financial officer came in, and we were counting money. Yeah, that was a few months ago. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's just how it's always been done. Yeah. I'm not sure there's a way to streamline it, or if we want to streamline it, but it's interesting.
We should give everybody our emails. Yeah. And that's a good idea, and our phone number. And that way we can keep in touch. But I will inform the bank. Remember, they already will not to send anything. I've already told them, don't send anything to Jean anymore. She's not on board. Right. And we've already told about Pick'em too. So but it's interesting when stuff goes out.
What's that? Stuff
does go out. And,
oh, sure.
And I don't want anybody to say, well, they should, how come this person's getting it?
Right.
So, well, right. That's obviously an error. It's like they haven't been told. That covers that. Anything else under trying to think old, new, anything?
I just wanted to add one quick point to the different funds. I'm really excited to read up all the materials and get brought up.
I just figured that's a great book.
So I'm excited to read up on both and make sure that I'm brought up to speed, because I think this is exciting work. And to Paul, your point on the money market funds versus CDs versus bonds, one other thing that I'm just announcing, because I'm going to keep it front of mind for myself, is the difference between what the rate says of if it's 5% versus inflation rate, right? Because that is, I think, the topic of discussion via the Fed and trying to figure out what the nominal rate is versus the real rate, and just a way of saying that, you know, if the interest rates are at 4.5 to 5, but or if the money, let me take the money market example. If money market funds are 5%, but inflation rates are at 3.5% or 4%, then we're only making 1% on our money. So I'm just announcing it because to shed some light on my ways of thinking towards these things. But I'm just excited to.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Good. I think you have good reference material, and that's why I thought that book is perfect for you.
Yeah.
Either one of them, they're both.
Not
just genuine. And every time they come, they bring another one. So
yeah,
we're caught up on everything. And they generally, you know, they have about a half hour, 40 minutes, depending, and then we ask some questions.
Yeah.
They might ask us what we think about, not sure, investments that you were just talking about.
Right.
And I agree. I'm in no great hurry to that.
No, and that brings up a really good point. It just occurred to me off the top of my head.
Yep.
It's like, I don't know exactly what the philosophy or the plan is for this city to even be, or the town to be, to have such a large trust fund.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Other towns don't.
Yeah.
You know, at all, and they just go as they will, and you know, I always think it's prudent to have, you know, certainly some funds, you know, but what is the objective of having these amounts and why?
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure as to why they're doing it, and whether that's a correct money management tool, or whether that's a political tool in case of a problem, you know, down the line, or an emergency fund, or a rainy day fund, or whatever you call it. So I think all those things come into factor, but I'm not sure anything's actually written as a policy or as a public plan.
right.
Yeah.
But you know, that's something we can discuss more as we go on. But we pretty much that whole thing we have left to the selectmen,
Right,
and women, and how they are approaching it. I don't. Now that we're using the funds correctly, I don't see a problem per se in how we're going forward. But I think it's questionable when we have zero interest rates, you know, going on, or maybe questionable when we have zero interest rates. Maybe not. I don't know. But it's a good point given the inflation rate. Yeah. What's going on? It makes us look good to have $237,000, but like you said, it's actually not that much. But if we weren't making anything, we'd be losing money.
Yeah,
we'd be losing position. You know, so that would be ungood. But again, the political thing, you know.
Well, it's interesting. Some of these towns trust funds, like some of them meet weekly because they have like $15-20 million.
Yeah.
Some meet like once, twice a year because they've got $500,000.
Right.
We've had the bank occasionally has asked me to, when they go into a new area, like Jackson was one, where could they call up? Could they call? Could their chairman call me and fill them in on how Bank of New Hampshire's done with their wealth management program? And you talk to some of these other people, and you know, they use them to buy police cars, fire trucks, and they never did before because they didn't have the wealth management program. And it's you hear some great conversations.
Right.
I mean, some of these guys meet like twice a year because that's all they need to.
Right.
Whereas others are meeting weekly.
Right.
I mean, we're doing forward the bank and extras. When we had an employee, we used to meet 10 or 12 times a year.
And maybe that's a good idea. I mean, I do know some people, and maybe talking to another town that have, you know, trustee to trust fund. Maybe that would be a fun thing to do, you know, and get some different perspectives on. I mean, Bank of New Hampshire has 13 other employees. I know, anecdotally, I know Hillsborough is one of them, and Jackson, and it would be
Very fond of talking.
I don't know if there's I don't want to well anyways, but I mean, I don't know if there's an association of trust funds people or anything like that. I mean, I can certainly, I'll take it on my own to ask Amy, from Fire and Justice if she has anything or if she wants me to or has any suggestions to contact, but that's something I've been rattling around in the back of my head. What are these other towns doing? And especially when it comes to things like ESG type funds and how they're approaching their laddering. I mean, I don't think I think that's prudent to check that out. Sure. Because I mean, I don't know statewide, but it has to be, I don't know, it's got to be tens if not $100 million out there flying in the wind. So that's a huge amount of money for such a small state like New Hampshire. Nationwide, it's got to be trillions of dollars, right?
Exactly. Something to, I mean, I enjoyed talking because they had, just to see what they were doing, and they were just starting with this. One was like 6 months into it, and I said, well, we've been doing it for quite a few years now, and we're very pleased with it. Done well, and they've got the right people, on our board working on it, and we've got the right. I think we made the right bank. We had 5 banks in here. We asked a lot of good questions, and we had to because this was a big commitment. And like you said, I think it's smooth sailing to the head. I don't think and I'm in no rush to worry about that money.
Right.
I don't think we need to. Not that we won't do something with it, but I don't think we need to get pressured about it. I think that's necessary.
No, I don't think that's necessary.
Leaving the doors open.
I mean, we're always open to argument. I think we've had a candid discussion.
Absolutely.
With the bank. Very candid. I mean, this is a public forum.
Yep.
We're being recorded. Yep. I mean, they asked us to do things in the past. We certainly said no. Yep. When it comes to investments, or made our opinion known, and investments have been changed.
Yes.
For what this board's opinion has been.
You have asked poignant questions.
Sure.
That's right, and Victim did too.
And I was just gonna say that.
He did too. He asked.
He's a very smart guy.
And
he's a very smart guy.
Obviously, it's a volatile time in the world. Big election coming up in a few months. A lot of things, I've always said that we don't know what's going to happen. It makes a difference who wins the House, the Senate. It all affects finances, and banks always know. You're absolutely right. We got to wait and see what happens. But like I said, keeping the doors open. There's no reason why we can't. We can meet anytime we need. If something does come up that I think we need to meet about, I will definitely contact you, and we'll set up. I'll book the hall, as we call it. Thursdays seem to be good because other people are either meeting Wednesday night. I know budget committee is normally Tuesday and Thursday nights. Thursday morning seems to work out good for getting this room. We can meet during the virus. I arranged for us to meet at the Bank of New Hampshire right down the street in their conference room.
Well, hopefully, that won't happen again.
What?
Well, hopefully that won't happen.
No, I'm just saying. But we could always use that.
Right.
And I offered my office at the Nordic Inn to use.
Sure.
Because I've got a conference table in there. So there's no reason why we can't, something comes up that we think is important. That goes for anything you think of, Matt. Something you're concerned about, email, me, call, whatever. Yeah. And we'll meet. I mean, this is the way this board should function. The days of yearly meetings are not going to happen. No, so you can't do that. This doesn't.
And I think the dynamic's already shown that we can do different things like with this board that haven't been done before. No. And we should continuous process improvement of what we're doing.
Exactly. And like I said, thank goodness the state I love that when that email came in, they eliminated all those little boxes because that.
Oh my gosh.
That was a major,
that
that was a major thing to help us back then. Everything had to be meticulously in the, and when Jean called me one time, she said, I've been on this all weekend. I gotta take a walk. And I said, fine, go ahead. You're doing a great job, don't want it. But I happened to run into her at a local restaurant about a month ago. And I said, you know what? The state did away with their figures. The state did away with the little boxes and everything. Because I was meticulous. I mean, sometimes you could be off like 3 cents, you know, and it gets the people. I know Paul, one of the accounts you told me was 76 cents, one of them, before they could get everything all balanced.
I mean, almost all the
cents?
accounts didn't balance.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But
So we had to do, so almost all of the balances this year were off by probably less than $1.
Yeah.
You know, there's like one that was like that a double entry or something like that. But the state was happy, not happy, but the state understood what was going on, and they were accepting of how we're going forward. And but the more important thing is is a rounding of less, not more. So sure, it didn't really matter. And the books match year over year with the Bank of New Hampshire, by the other set of books, so to speak. We're solid. So Amy Nickel from Department of Justice, we all signed off on it, and and we're good. And going forward, since we're only using one set of books, it should be copacetic.
Yeah, it was great. That was a great email. I thought I had a copy. I was going to keep that on file. It's interesting. We used to be live stream, man, but the reason we stopped it because I believe it was $8,000 the live stream. Now with YouTube, YouTube is like YouTube's like 250, 300 in that. Don't quote me exactly, but that's what I was told. So that's it's different, and I think it's good for people, you know, who can't get out to see what's going on, and you know, certainly wasn't tough to do. I mean, Karina did a good job. I wrote to her about it, and I've also ordered. I talked to Karina the other day, emailed her the other day about it. When Jane gets back, Jane is the administrative assistant here and the welfare director. I ordered you your nameplates. Something I used to take care of for the board, and then they got to a point where we get board members losing them, and I said, I think we have to. I think I bought like about 8. I said, I think it's time to stop with that. So now, interesting story with Dan King when we were interviewing banks, and the vice president said to me, you know, off record, he said, you know, notice all these beautiful nameplates over here. You guys are in with millions of you don't have nameplates. So I saw Ed, that's why I kind of took that to heart. And next time he came, Ed nameplates. I said, boy, that was quick. I said, well, I took care of it. The municipalities don't move that fast and stuff like that. But anyway, we took care of it. Is there anything else you are old? I think we're all set. Okay. I would ask at this point, remind everybody it's April 18th, 2024, 10 o'clock, usual place. They say same time, same channel. Okay, I would entertain a motion at this point to adjourn the Trustee of Trust Fund meeting. Second. A motion. You make the motion?
You can second. I second the motion.
Second. No discussion, I would imagine. Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, pass. We're done at 11:12. Do you know how to shut that off?
I think she just said hit it or something, but is there a bathroom in this facility?
Yeah, right through that door and then turn.
Okay.
If you don't get it, I'll go up and check her, because you don't want that to run.
That says stop video, so I'm gonna go ahead.
You can mute it too.
Maybe hit end?
Yeah, if it says say end.
End meeting for all.